the new normal of digital world. Let radio and television be a fingertip. Get news and current events, entertainment, sports, kiddies programs, and more at your beck and call on Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. Just visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media platforms. Then you are a global citizen. Al-IyamoyeTV and radio, voice of the voiceless.
Bring fresh news. It is essential to be up to date on happenings around you, and to make that easy for you, ladies and gentlemen, we present Freshlight, where we bring fresh newspaper headlines to the limelight. Mondays to Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. Watch, like, subscribe, and make sure your notification is activated on our YouTube channel. You can also like and comment on our pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. Lovely Tuesday morning right here on Al-IyamoyeTV and radio, the 19th day in the month of September 2023. I hope that today's a wonderful one right here while you're already at work, or you're preparing to go to work, or you're still at home, or you work from home, whichever way it is. Welcome to Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTV and radio, and of course we're ready to take you through some of the stories in our dailies this morning to keep you updated as usual. Definitely, we're always committed to bring to your listening and, of course, your sighting pleasure, things that is going on in the country and even outside the country. So welcome to Freshlight once again on Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. My name is Modupe, Akinyosoye. And this morning, I have with me, as usual and always, a couple of newspapers this morning. I have the Nigerian Tribune, I have the Nation newspaper, I have the Vanguard newspaper, and I have the Punch newspaper to peruse this morning. All right, without further ado, we kickstart. The Punch newspaper has from the front page several headlines, and we'll start with this big headline right here that says, Federal Government NLC meeting deadlocked, workers insist on demands. You have that with double riders, details on page 2 in the Punch newspaper. Away from that, Nigeria servicing 108 World Bank loans worth $14 billion, says report. Report revealing that on page 19 in the Punch newspaper. No easy solution to Nigeria's economic problems, says United States. Page 13, I beg your pardon, as the details of that very story in the Punch newspaper. All companies and agencies owe federal government $9.85 billion revenue. Nati reporting that very story on page 19 in the Punch newspaper. Away from that, we also have from the front page of the Punch, drama as Obaseki locks out embattled deputy from Government House. You have that on page 18 in the Punch newspaper. Tension as 8 killed in Ogun community court clashes. That rather unfortunate story on page 4 and 5 in the Punch newspaper. Obasanjo insists on stand-up order to monarchs. You have that on page 7 in the Punch newspaper, and also you get to see the picture of demolition of illegal structures at Area 1 shopping complex in Abuja on Monday. You get to see the photos of them right on the front page of the Punch newspaper. And going through the Punch newspaper, let's get to see some of the stories in the Punch newspaper. All right, we'll start with this very report. Okay, we start with NLC federal government report. Federal government NLC meeting deadlocked. Workers insist on demand. In a race to beat the deadline for the planned commencement of an indefinite strike that may lead to the shutdown of the economy, the federal government on Monday held a meeting with organized labor on post-subsidy removal palliatives for workers. The parley hosted by the Minister of Labour, Simon Lalong, in Abuja, however, failed to reach a consensus as the Nigeria Labour Congress insisted that the federal government must meet its demands ahead of a 21-day ultimatum issued on September 1 by the Congress. The union had on September 1 handed down the 21-day ultimatum to federal government over the delay in sharing of palliatives, saying it might be compelled to declare an indefinite labor action if its demands were not met. Federal government and NLC meeting deadlocked. Workers insist on demand. Away from that, still with the Punch newspaper, we'll take a trip to Oyo State with the Punch newspaper on Alafi. Selection didn't follow due process, says Oyomisi function. A function of the Oyo Kingmakers, Oyomisi, on Monday said Governor Seyi Makinde had not approved the nominee forwarded as the next Alafi of Oyo over failure to comply with due process. The Kingmakers, comprised of I Chief Agbaki of Oyo, Ashimiyu Atonda, I Chief Shamu of Oyo, Lamidi Oyewale, and Bale Odorinde Olusegun, who addressed journalists in Oyo town, said the process that led to the selection of a particular nominee was fraught with irregularities. On Alafi, selection didn't follow due process, says Oyomisi function. The Punch as that very story. And also we have reports here from the owner of the X platform, social media platform. Musk says X could charge all users small monthly payment. Online platform X could introduce a monthly fee for all users. Its owner, Elon Musk, said on Monday, citing the need to cut down on bots. The tech tycoon has made multiple changes since taking over the site for $44 billion in October last year, when it was known as Twitter. He has fired thousands of employees, introduced a paid premium option, cut content moderation, and reinstated formerly banned accounts, including that of former United States President Donald Trump. He said in July the platform had lost roughly half its advertising revenue. The rest of that you get to see in the Punch newspaper. Musk says X could charge all users small monthly payment, from the Punch. Away from that, we also have from the Punch newspaper an update on the tension going on in Shagamu area of Ogun State. Tension has 8 killed in Ogun community court clashes. Ogun State Commissioner of Police Abiodun Alamutsu on Monday confirmed that 8 people were killed during court clashes in the Shagamu area of the state. Alamutsu, who spoke in Abeokuta on the 4-day rival bloodbath by rival court groups in the area, also disclosed that 9 suspects had been arrested. However, the resident of Shagamu, who spoke with the Punch Metro on condition of anonymity, begged to defer with the CP, saying that those who lost their lives to the mindless killings could not have been less than 20, with many of them being innocent and just victims of circumstances. From the Punch, tension has hit 8 killed in Ogun community court clashes. Away from that, we also have a report right here from the Punch that says no easy solution to Nigeria's economic problems, says United States. There is no quick and easy solution to Nigeria's economic challenges, the United States government has disclosed. The United States Deputy Secretary of Treasury, Wale Adeyemo, who stated this at a forum with business leaders in Lagos, said the country lacks a microeconomic framework to attract more dollar-dominated foreign direct investment into its economy. He spoke at the Lagos Business School on the U.S.-Nigeria economic relationship. You get the details of that in the Punch newspaper. No easy solution to Nigeria's economic problems, says United States. Away from that, we have also from the Metro page of the Punch, why Senator's aide was shot dead. Suspects revealing that from the Metro page. The Lagos State Police Command has arrested 3 suspects linked to the killing of Akinyosoye, a senior aide of Senator Solomon Adiola, who is the lawmaker representing Ogun West at the National Assembly. The arrested suspects include 43-year-old Lagosian Fred Okuno, 33-year-old Lucky Michael from Delta State, and 26-year-old Adedigba Shegun from Ibadan, Oyo State. confirming the arrest of the suspects while parading them before journalists on Monday at the command headquarters in Ikeja, Lagos. The State Commissioner of Police, Idowu Omohua, said their arrest was made possible through a diligent investigation that was carried out by the police. Omohua said through painstaking intelligence and investigative activities which brought out the best in the capacity of Lagos Police Command, we have succeeded in arresting the syndicate of the robbery and murder. The 3 suspects directly involved in the robbery and murder were arrested with 3 firearms, including the killer weapon recovered. Why Senator's aide was shot dead? You get the reason? Revealed by the suspect in the Punch newspaper. Away from the Punch newspaper, let's get to see what we have in other newspaper. Let's pick up the Vanguard newspaper this morning for a review. From the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, Nigeria in revenue crisis with huge public debt. This comes with double riders. Adedeji new FIRS boss revealing that on page 5 in the Vanguard newspaper. Also from the front page, inflationary pressure depresses federal government of Nigeria savings bond by 14.4%. That business report on page 19 in the Vanguard newspaper. Democracy without food, breathing ground for what will consume us. Tinubu says that on page 10 in the Vanguard newspaper. NLC to federal government, you have till Friday to meet our demands. Page 8 captures that story. Drama in Bini, Edo deputy governor locked out of his office. You have that on page 12 in the Vanguard newspaper. Stabilize Naira, improve digital infrastructure. United States advises Nigeria. Page 14 captures that very story. Also from the front page of the Vanguard on impeachment plots, why some senators are after Akpabio. You get that on page 9 in the Vanguard newspaper. Tinubu appoints Vanguard columnist Baba Ahmed as VP's political advisor. You have it on page 14 in the Vanguard newspaper. And also, 20 fear dead as cultists clash in Shagamu. That on page 27 in the Vanguard newspaper. And also from the Vanguard, we have uncovered plans to cause anarchy in Plateau. Governor Mutfwang revealing that on page 14 in the Vanguard newspaper. You also get to see this headline. Article warns APC against harassment of opposition. Page 25 as the very story. And also you get a sport headline on the front page that says why Tuchel won't be in Bayern Munich dugout against Man United. You have that on page 29 in the Vanguard newspaper. And of course you get to see the picture of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and President of South Africa Cyril Ramaphosa at a bilateral meeting on the sideline of the 78th United Nations General Assembly ongoing in New York State House. You get to see the picture of both shaking hands on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. And going through some stories in the Vanguard newspaper, let's pick up. Okay, we start with this business report here that says Nigeria in revenue crisis with huge public debt. Adedeji, new FIRS boss, revealing that with double riders that says federal government spending of 96% of revenue on debt servicing unsustainable. 8.5 trillion naira collected by mid-September, says immediate past FIRS chair, Nami. And the story report that the new chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Dr. Zach Adedeji, said yesterday the nation is in a revenue crisis and requires urgent steps to change the narrative. Adedeji, who stated this while taking over the mantle of leadership of the agency from his predecessor, Mohammed Nami, noted that about 96% of federal government revenue was spent on debt servicing last year, stressing that the situation is not sustainable. This is even as the former chairman of the revenue agency, Nami, said the FIRS generated 8.5 trillion naira in revenue into the Federation account as of mid-September, and recall that one of the main reasons the government removed subsidy from petrol is inadequate revenue to run the affairs of the country. Nigeria in revenue crisis with huge public debt. Adedeji, new FIRS boss, revealing from the Vanguard. Away from that, we also have this very report. Protect NYSC from politicians' assault. CLO urges judiciary. The Civil Liberties Organization has urged the judiciary to thwart efforts by politicians to undermine the National Youth Service Corps (NYC) scheme. This plea was made during a press briefing in Abuja on Monday, citing concerns over an increasing trend of certificate forgery by public office holders and the potential destruction of NYC as a reputable public institution. The organization called attention to the integrity of the NYC, a scheme established in 1973 to promote national unity, which has withstood political pressure over its 50-year existence. Protect NYC from politicians' assault, CLO urges judiciary from the Vanguard newspaper. Away from that, we also have a report. NLC to federal government. You have till Friday to meet our demands. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, said yesterday the federal government has till Friday to meet its demand or risk another round of industrial unrest. This came as the government pleaded for more time to address grievances of the labor movement. However, Vanguard gathered at the resumed meeting between the Ministry of Labour and Employment and NLC. The leadership of the labor movement told the government categorically that nobody could accuse it of not giving government more than enough time to address its demands. NLC to federal government, you have till Friday to meet our demands, from the Vanguard newspaper. And also a report from the Metro page of the Vanguard on Mohbad. Police to exhume body for investigation. With the rider, celebrities, fans begin protest to demand justice. Lagos State Police Commissioner Mr. Idowu Omohuwa yesterday inaugurated a 13-man special investigation team to unravel the circumstances surrounding the death of Nigerian singer and Naira Marley's former protege Ilerioluwa Aloba, popularly called Mohbad, on September 12 in Lagos. This came as Nigerian celebrities and aggrieved fans of Mohbad are taken to the street this morning to demand justice for the late singer. The protests, which kicked off in Akure, Ondo State yesterday, are expected to spread to other states. Meanwhile, the team, headed by the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Sahid Kashim, is expected to, among other terms of reference, exhume Mohbad's body and carry out autopsy, as well as conduct toxicology and histology tests on it, according to Owohunwa. From the Vanguard on Mohbad death, police to exhume body for investigation. The rest you get from the Metro page of the Vanguard newspaper. We'll continue more and to give you more headlines after this short commercial break. Still Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Stay with us.
Thousands have been disappointed severally in their bid to seek greener pasture abroad. To those quack in the traveling agency business, it is a rocket science. That is not our case at Tausaf Travels and Tour. We have in-depth details on how to successfully, without stress, help you process and secure your visa to anywhere in the world. Do you want permanent residential visa, visiting and tourism visa, student visa to places like Europe, America, Asia, Africa? It's no big deal to us at Tausaf Travels and Tour. Our years of experience and expertise speaks volume for us. Let's process and secure visa for you to UK, USA, and Canada within a twinkle of an eye. We offer Hajj and Umrah services to our Muslim faithfuls. What are you waiting for? Consult us at number 9 Tausaf Central Mosque, Sholanke Street, behind Laroy Hotel, Abiola Way, Abeokuta. 0802 733 0900 or 0806 578 4060. Stop wasting money. Pay for peace of mind. Talk to Tausaf Travels and Tour.
Gbogbo aláfẹ́ tó gbayì tó fẹ́ wọṣọ yìí ṣoge tó pàgbàmù ló ń kọjá lọ sí House of Zayana. House of Zayana, the name I know when we talk of top-notch fashion, quality materials and class. House of Zayana, lẹ́tí máa rójúlówó Turkey wears, Egypt and Malaysia clothing, Dubai, àwọn designer bags lóríṣiríṣi, àwọn ìtẹ̀lẹ̀ bàtà tó jiná tí wọ́n fa wọ original ṣe, àwọn aago kájọ́ tó ń ka wákàtí ọjọ́, designer sunglasses and perfumes, pẹ̀lú àwọn gbogbo nǹkan tóbìnrin àsìkò fi ń gbafẹ́ lò gbà. Mo débẹ̀, ojú mi ń ṣe kámi, èmi ni ó rà, èmi ni ó mú. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin mùsùlùmí ẹlẹ́sìn tẹ́ gbòógì gbọ́n pa fashion fashion tẹ́ wá nílò jàlábíà hijab àti àbáyà lóríṣiríṣi House of Zayana lẹ́ẹ̀ ti rí gbogbo ẹ̀ rà. House of Zayana wà ní 52 ọlọ́run ṣògo road adjacent Redeemed Church Agape Parish ọlọ́run ṣògo Abẹ́òkúta. Lórí Instagram House of Zayana 08165688618 House of Zayana ilé ìtajà tá a ti ń tojúlówó aṣọ àti nǹkan aṣaralóge tí ń gbéni níyì.
You're still on to Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio, and still going through some of the stories in our dailies this morning. We pick up the Nigerian Tribune newspaper to get to see what we have on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, and of course give you a couple of stories from the Nigerian Tribune. From the front page on strike, NLC meets federal government, says ultimatum subsists. You have that with several riders, demands concrete solution to palliatives, wage award, NURTW crises. Whenever we are invited, we will be there. We will produce resolutions that will enhance better benefits and working condition of workers, says Lalong. Page 8 captures that very story. Away from that, crisis, I beg your pardon, rocks Olubadan Advisory Council meeting. Page 19 captures that story. Away from that, Al-Iyamoye, United States Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, says foreign companies eager to invest in Nigeria. Page 19 also captures that story. Nominations open for 2023 Obafemi Awolowo Leadership Prize. To whom it may concern, page 2 has that very story. Away from that, Tinubu appoints Baba Ahmed, 17 other aides for Shetima. Page 15 has the very story. Paris Club refund. Federal government moves to block $480 million payment to consultant. You have that on page 5 in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. On Mohbad's death, police set up special investigation team. Page 28 has the details of that rather story. How we stabbed short Senator Adeola's aide 3 times. Suspect revealing that on page 25 in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. NTA staffer, 10 other passengers kidnapped in Benue. That rather unfortunate incident on page 35 in the Nigerian Tribune. United States military seeks help to find missing $80 million F-35 fighter jets. Page 26 graces that very story. 8 killed, 9 arrested. Police revealing that with double riders. Residents claim over 20 killed. Government restricts movements. Page 24 captures that story from the Gateway State. How intrigue stalled Nigeria's $2.3 billion, 25,000 megawatts power project. You have the report on page 5 in the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. And also you get to see the picture of Nigerian Governors Forum Chairman Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, Kwara State, and also flanked by his counterparts, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Lagos State, Uba Sani, Kaduna State, Mohammed Yahya, Gombe State, Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, and Umar Eno, Akwa Ibom State, after a meeting with President Bola Tinubu in New York on Monday, ahead of the United Nations General Assembly. You get to see the picture of them right on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. And quickly going through the Nigerian Tribune, we start with this very report from the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Okay. Crisis as, okay, we'll take a trip to Oyo State with the Nigerian Tribune. This says, crisis has elevated Ibadan Obas. Ladoja disagree over Olubadan Council meeting. Members of the Olubadan Advisory Council have insisted that it will not sit for a meeting with Otun Olubadan and former governor of the state, I Chief Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja. And this led to indefinite postponement of the council meeting scheduled to hold on Monday at Alarere residence of Olubadan of Ibadan land. This decision by the members of the Advisory Council, who were elevated as Obas and Royal Majesties last July by the Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Senator Lekon Balogun CFR Ali Okumade II, was taken because of the court case instituted against their elevation by the Otun Olubadan. The rest of that in the Nigerian Tribune. Crisis has elevated Ibadan Obas. Ladoja disagree over Olubado Council meeting. Away from that, we also have from the Nigerian Tribune newspaper a report. Tinubu's policies will turn around Nigeria's economy next year, says NGF. The Nigeria Governors Forum, NGF, has assured that with the policies being implemented by the President Bola Tinubu's administration, the Nigerian economy would see a turnaround in 1 year. The chairman of the forum and governor of Kwara State, Abdurrahman Abdurazak, gave the assurance on Monday while emerging from a meeting with President Tinubu at the United Nations One Plaza in New York ahead of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA. Tinubu's policy will turn around Nigeria's economy next year, NGF, revealing that from the Nigerian Tribune. And also from the Nigerian Tribune, we have a report. Tinubu holds fruitful talks with South Africa's Ramaphosa in New York. President Bola Tinubu on Monday held what has been described as a very fruitful cross-sectorial discussion with his counterpart of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, in New York. Tinubu, who arrived in the city of the United Nations headquarters on Monday, joins other world leaders in the United States to attend the 78th United Nations General Assembly. The special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajeri Galali, in a statement, noted that President Tinubu is expected to meet with other presidents at the assembly, which continues until September 26. Tinubu holds fruitful talks with South Africa's Ramaphosa in New York. The Nigerian Tribune captures that story. And moving away from the Nigerian Tribune, let's see what we have in the Nation newspaper. From the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning, Atiku Obi appeals raised concern over Supreme Court cases with a rider, and you get the details on page 4 in the Nation newspaper. FIRS recovers 4 trillion naira tax liabilities from NMPCL. You have that on page 5 in the Nation newspaper. Obasanjo justifies public rebuke of traditional rulers. Page 6 captures that very story. Petrol importers, power firms behind anti-Apabio plot. You have that on page 5 as well in the Nation newspaper. 5 senators, 26 representatives sacked by tribunals. You have that on page 2 in the Nation newspaper. Police kill 8, arrest 9 in Shagamu court clashes. You have that on page 27 in the Nation newspaper. NEF Chief Baba Hamid joins Shetima as special advisor with double riders. Why I accepted offer. VP gets 17 other aides. The details of that on page 4 in the Nation newspaper. Tinubu Ramaphosa in investment talks at UNGA. You have that on page 4. And of course, you get to see the picture of Tinubu and Ramaphosa on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Also from the front page of the Nation, Agoro likely to become Lagos HOS. Okay, you have that also on page 27 in the Nation newspaper. Federal government NLC talks to continue. Also have that on page 4 in the Nation newspaper. Shaibu's drama at Government House deepens role with Obaseki. You had it on page 26 in the Nation newspaper. And of course, you get to see the picture of Edo State Deputy Governor Philip Shuaib outside his locked office in the Government House in Benin City. Away from the front page of the Nation, let's get to see the stories we have in the Nation newspaper. All right, we start with this very report. Atiku Obi appeals raise concern over Supreme Court cases with a rider. Panel of 7 will deplete number of justices to 4. Senior lawyers have raised concerns that ongoing cases at the Supreme Court will suffer delay during the 60-day period that the presidential election appeal will last. And this is because of shortage of justices of the Apex Court following non-replacement of retired judges. The Supreme Court is constitutionally required to have a full complement of 21 justices, but currently there are only 11 justices. The latest to bow out of the Supreme Court is Justice Amina Oge, who turned 17 on September 3. Atiku Obi appeals raise concern over Supreme Court cases. The Nation captures that. Away from that, we have a business report from the Nation newspaper that says FIRS recovers 4 trillion naira tax liabilities from NMPCL. The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has recovered more than 4 trillion naira tax liabilities from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. It has also collected 8.5 trillion naira in new taxes so far this year, bringing the total collection to 12.5 trillion naira. Immediate past Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Mr. Mohammed Nami, gave the update on tax collection and administration while handing over to his successor, Dr. Zach Adedeji, yesterday in Abuja. FIRS recovers 4 trillion naira tax liability from NNPCL. The Nation captures that report. And also we have the story from The Nation. Federal government set to implement a West African Police Information System. The federal government yesterday expressed its readiness to implement the West African Police Information System in Nigeria. The WAPIs, the government said, would help the country to tackle terrorism in the region. Police Affairs Minister Ibrahim Gaidam announced this when he hosted a delegation from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, European Union, EU, and Interpol at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja. Federal government set to implement West African Police Information System from The Nation. And we also have a statement from The Nation. Obasanjo justifies public rebuke of traditional rulers with a rider. Ex-president Ms. Martins is an impostor, not my wife. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has said he stands by the action he took against some Yoruba traditional rulers from Iseyin in Okeogun area of Oyo State last Friday when he ordered them to stand up. Obasanjo said he would remain firm, unapologetic, and uncompromising on the position that the governor of a state holds the highest office in the state. The ex-president said this, informed his order on the monarch's stand-up at the event. And the elder statesman stated his position on the controversy his action had generated in a statement by his media aide, Kehinde Akinyemi. Obasanjo justifies public rebuke of traditional rulers from The Nation newspaper. And also picking this from The Nation, we have a report. Federal government and Wema Bank to train 2 million youth on digital skills, to whom it may concern. Wema Bank, in collaboration with the Office of the Vice President, has concluded an arrangement to start an initiative that will impact 2 million youth and 1 million micro, small and medium enterprises across the country. A statement yesterday in Abuja by the Director of Information in the Vice President's Office, Mr. Olushola Abiola, said the collaboration is in furtherance of Bola Tinubu's administration's drive to boost job creation. And Vice President Kashim Shettima, who received an update report on the program yesterday when he hosted the bank's managing director, Maruf Osheni, lauded Wema Bank's commitment and partnership for the initiative. Federal government and Wema Bank to train 2 million youth on digital skills, to whom it may concern. The rest of that very story in The Nation newspaper. Running it up with a sport story from The Nation newspaper. Flying Eagles media officer Abdallah gets CAF appointment. Flying Eagles media officer Sharif Abdallah has been appointed a media officer by CAF for the inaugural African Football League. Nation Sport reports that Abdallah will serve as CAF media officer when Enyimba hosts to Wydad Casablanca of Morocco on the 24th of October at the Gotu Lapabi International Stadium, Uyo. Abdallah, a mass communications graduate from Abu Zaria, boasts a fine CV that includes head of sports, Cool, Wazobia, Info, Radio, La Liga, Nigeria Media Projector, as well as media officer for the Olympic Eagles. Flying Eagles media officer Abdallah gets CAF appointments from The Nation newspaper. And from that very story, we'll call it a day on Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Thank you so much for always trusting Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. You can follow us on our social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, the X platform rather, and of course on Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTv and radio, and on the X platform at Iyamoye_TV. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Al-IyamoyeTv and radio and turn on your alarm button to get notification. Don't forget, we can also advertise your product and any of your service right on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Thank you so much for joining. I remain Modupe Akinyosoye. Good morning.